Hi folks, this is Rant and Fury with the Boondock Gourmet. This is actually my second attempt at filming it. Today I'm making Irish Colcannon potatoes and chicken breast fillets that are egg washed, dipped in breadcrumbs. Now, a little background on Colcannon potatoes. It's basically mashed potatoes that has greens mixed in it, originating about the 1700s in Ireland as one of their comfort foods as far as the working class folks. It had potatoes and traditionally kale or cabbage. Well, welcome to the southern United States. If you have much to do with kale and you're a man down this part of the country, you have to hand over your scrotum, its contents, and your man card. Cabbage I can tolerate, but I have to be in the mood for it. I love them in Irish boiled dinners. It's just I don't go through enough to warrant keeping a whole head in the fridge, and by the time I got around to needing what wasn't going to be used for this, it'd gone to the bad. Well, one of the recipes I clicked and downloaded called for greens besides kale and cabbage. So Ireland has a tradition of turnip greens, and considering it's a little over 2 months away from Halloween, Dollar General's already getting their stuff out and ready for it. It kind of reminded me of the story behind the jack-o'-lantern. The original Irish jack-o'-lanterns weren't pumpkins, they were turnips. That, according to the legend, after Jack got cast out of hell for pulling too many pranks on the devil himself, he hollowed out a turnip and put some of the coals of hell before he was put out in the night. So I figured turnip greens would go good with this batch, and kind of appropriate going for this time of year. Now, it's a 14.5 ounce can of turnip greens. I'm going to use a quarter stick of butter, 4 tablespoons of butter, which is about a quarter cup, I believe. Undisclosed amount of milk. I'm just going to do that until it gets to the right consistency. Then I'm going to add about a half can of the greens. The other part that I don't use, I'm going to throw some balsamic vinegar on and go from there. But now I'm going to put about 2 teaspoons of kosher salt in with the potatoes in the pot, put some water on them, and get them to the boil. Then we'll go to the next step. Be back in a few minutes, folks. Okay folks, I'm back. You've heard the old saying, stick a fork in it, it's done. Well, that's basically how the potatoes are. You stick a fork in them when you're boiling them. If the fork goes in easy, you have at it. Here's the stick of butter I showed you before. I pre-melted it on one of the burners to speed things up for the mashing. I poured about 3/4 of a cup of milk, measuring cup here, and I'm going to go ahead and open and drain the turnip greens. I'll be right back. Sorry about that. I should have started that before the should have opened up the can before the restarting the video. So here we go, mashing up the potatoes. I like the spring-loaded potato masher for the most part. It's just such a pain in the butt to get the drawer that it goes in closed. So after a few times of not being able to get the drawer open, short of an act of God and Congress, I ended up putting it in the overhead cabinets along with the pots, pans, plates. That doesn't take too long to mash up. Now, when you add the greens to the Colcannon, you definitely don't want to use this because it'll clog up worse than cheese in a chihuahua. So, put that over there. And I washed off the fork that I use to check the potatoes, my handy dandy meat fork that I use for different roasts and other odds and ends. I'm going to use about a half a can. The rest I'm going to eat with some balsamic vinaigrette. So, let's see. Here more, right about there. Alright. I'll use the fork to mix in the greens. It gives it a nice green hue to it. Kind of like the emerald isles themselves. If you got a kid that's a little picky when it comes to eating greens, whether collards or turnip greens, this is a good way to kind of trick them into doing it. I like eating greens myself, but it's another one of those things I have to be in the mood for separate. But if you mix them in with good mashed potatoes, not that instant crap that's concrete with butter flavoring, you get a nice, wonderful dish. Look at how pretty that is. Alright, worst case, I may have to add a little salt later because I was looking at the can. It only has 1% of the daily value of sodium on it, so I may have misinterpreted that. But give me a few moments, I will get ready for the chicken finger or the chicken breast fillets and get ready to fry them. Back in a second. Okay, I'm back. I've got the egg wash and I've got a little dyslexic and added the salt to it instead of the breadcrumbs. Breadcrumbs here. I've added some Italian seasoning. You can get them pre-seasoned to do this with. It's just, I like having just the generic breadcrumbs to where if you need it for a different dish with a different seasoning, you can go ahead and do that. So here I am, I'm going to got my pan with corn oil because this is going to be kind of like a deep fried job. So now I'm waiting for everything to kick off. I'm going to get ready to start putting chicken breasts in the egg wash and then the crumbs. Just do a light dunking of it. And with that, you just roll it around. Or you can do like Terry Gard did in Young Frankenstein back in the 70s. Roll, roll, I didn't see hay. Not quite up to temp. I'll get a little better picture whenever the oil gets a little hotter. I'm just going to let this one marinate for a few moments. And the egg wash. Every once in a while I may have to mix up some more crumbs or reshape the eggs up to keep the yellows and the yolks and the whites mixed up together. Not a terribly complicated dish. Like I said, the main thing is the seasoning, and unfortunately I got dyslexic, which happens to me every once in a while, and put the salt in the eggs instead of the salt in the crumbs. Alright. Give me a second. I'm going to extend the camera out a little bit. The ham itself. And here comes the second one. One nice thing about doing the chicken breast fillets, The original recipes I've seen for this calls for a thicker cut of chicken that is put between two plastic film, like saran wrapped, and pummeled with a meat mallet until it's flat about like this, which helps with even cooking and seasoning, I suppose. I'm gonna do, that one's a little on the small side, and plus I gotta do 2 lunch portions and a couple portions for the day, because I am starved to death. The only thing I've had today was a roast beef sandwich from the fridge that I made. So, alrighty, I'm gonna let these fry in the pan, and I'll be back in a few minutes. It's getting warm in here. I've had to turn the AC off to make less noise while I'm filming. I'll be back in a few minutes when I get ready to flip the chicken. Okay, it's time to flip the chicken. Back off a little bit to keep the steam from clouding up the camera lens. Tightening the knobs here. Still getting used to the tripod. Anyway, good golden crust on those. That one's probably a little off center from the stove, and that one is too. So. Alrighty, folks, had to show you that. I'm going to finish those up and do the rest off camera, then get ready to do the serving scene. See you in a little bit. Okay, folks, this is the finale for today's episode. I'm getting ready to take the last 3 pieces of chicken out of the pan. I've already got my portion on the plate as far as the Colcannon, and I have grown some chives. You probably can't see them that well with all the green on them, in some pots on my patio. I do live in an apartment, so I'm not exactly blessed with a terrible lot of space. But you can do a little bit of container growing as far as some of your herbs go. Got my fork, got my chicken. First I'm going to taste the Colcannon, because the bird's hiding in the bushes, and you got to get through the bushes to get to the bird. Oh yeah. You've got the creamy texture of the milk and the potatoes and the butter. And then you've got the kick of the greens from the turnip greens itself with the chives. Now, let's see how the chicken breast fillet did. Cook it all the way through. Hot. I could have put more salt in the breading instead of the eggs. That would have helped out a little bit. I'll go ahead and do that when I'm at the table finish eating. But thanks again, folks, for tuning in to another episode of the Boondock Gourmet with Rant and Fury. Take care, and I'll catch you sometime next week. The Ballistic Rants is going to be delayed a few days until the weekend when I'm off. I'm working tomorrow and Friday, so bear with me. I've got something planned.